defense, guys. Let's just jump right into it. Got a comment here from our buddy Deadfish in the chat. Said, listening to NFL radio a little this morning, they were expecting Ja to get a 1-year prove-it contract. Does not sound good for him, but don't know what the Packers offered him. This got a little bit, I don't want to say weird, but
wonky.
If you go back to when this originally started, there were a couple of different things that happened, okay? And this is why Rob Demovsky was so dug in early that, hey, 99.5% chance that Jair returns, right? Like it's this, that he's gone is what he said. He's essentially saying it's a 0.5% chance of him returning to the Packers. And one of the things was Goody said, if he's not going to be on our team, we've invested a lot in him. We want to get something in return, right? We want to get some value back in return. That is never, there's never been, this is Jason Wilde's words, and I said this last night, and I just want to repeat it because Jason Wilde right there on the left, by the way, he's covered a team since 1996. And the dude, it's like, I've covered Ron Wolf, I've covered Mike Sherman, I've covered Ted Thompson, and now Brian Gutekunst. I have never heard a general manager in Green Bay say we want to get something for him. Like, that's not a good sign, right? And then, of course, Rob Demovsky was getting information fed from what people seem to think was Jair's camp, so it was true. Certain Packer fans were trying to paint it like Rob Demovsky was being negative about Jair, trying to run him out of town. And then don't you look silly that now we look up and it was actually Ja's camp that was feeding that information to Rob Demovsky, allegedly, right? That's where people were kind of connecting the dots now. But anyway, that 1-year prove it, that doesn't surprise me one bit. Here's what Brian Gutekunst had to say. I'll read the tweet from Matt Schneiden as he said, why didn't the Packers take a gamble on Jair Alexander staying healthy and keep him? Brian Gutekunst said, obviously we've done that the past few years and it really hasn't worked out for us. Okay, so let's play the clip. It's probably what he says here, but just in case he says something else, and I apologize for the volume here live, we will amp it up for the podcast listeners. Here we go.
I think obviously we've done that the past few years and it hasn't really worked out for us. I think as we went through it was just something, we looked at a lot of different angles, what might be right for the club, and this is kind of where we ended up. But again, it was no bad blood. It's just kind of one of those things where over the last couple of years it hasn't worked out exactly like the ones that not for no fault of anybody, just the injuries kind of took some games away from them.
I think
obviously we've done that.
It's a pretty classy response there. Like, hey, look, it ain't nobody's fault. It's just the way it is, right? Do we run it back again another year? Now, you guys know what I said. Based off the cap situation, I would have been okay with, hey, let's give it one more shot and then we'll cut bait if he's hurt again this year. We'll just do that next year. But $17 million, a lot of money to save, man. I mean, it really is. I mean, think of the cap hits this year. And if you had a $17 million cap hit on a player, that's going to be more than a starter, probably a potential Pro Bowl caliber player is what you can get in that. And we know when Ja's healthy, he is a Pro Bowl caliber player. There's no two ways about it. So I can understand both sides of this. I actually had somebody in the YouTube comments last night said they were unsubbing to the channel because they disagreed with the Jair getting cut. And I was just like, geez.
Things could be a lot worse. I could be a Bears fan.
Like I was like, I don't work for the team, right? Like I didn't. Anyway, what'd you say, Emilio?
I was just saying, tell him to unsubscribe from the Packers and everything because he's not going to like any other news coming out of there.
Unbelievable, man. So going on to the next comment here, this is what Goody said, and this raised some eyebrows. It didn't raise any eyebrows for me, to be honest with you. I think they believe in this DB room. We talked about it. We showed last night. The PFF grades, the coverage grades, the last 5 games of the season got significantly better. And you guys know Jair was not playing at that time. That's not a knock on Jair. It's just a reality that this team started to play pretty good coverage down the stretch. This is what Brian Gutekunst had to say. And again, this is Rob Demovsky this time with this video. He says, doesn't sound like Packers GM Brian Gutekunst is going to feel the need to make another move to bolster the cornerback room after releasing Jair Alexander. Here's what he had to say.
Right now, do you need to add? No, I feel really good about it. Obviously, the 3 guys that they combined have about 95 starts under their belt. Feel really good about that. We got some young guys I'm really interested to see compete for those kind of final roster spots. But no, I'm excited about where that group is. The 3 guys that have proven their ability in this league. I like their makeup, their toughness, their ability to play, so their versatility. So now I'm excited about that.
So Emilio, obviously, listen, he's not going to go out there. If he did have doubt with this unit, he's not going to go out there and say, hey, boys, I tell you, we're in trouble.
Right.
This cornerback room sucks. But I believe Goody what he's saying here, man. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's more like, if we're really going to go out and get somebody, I would honestly rather it happen in season. If it's week 2 or 3 or 4, and it's like, all right, we're having a problem back there on the back end. Let's see who we can lock up, trade for, do something like that. I would much rather do that than try to take some reps away from these guys in training camp and moving forward. And the defense had already started humming. You have Carrington, you got Keyshawn, you have Hobbs coming in there. You got Bull probably playing the slot, up and down there with safety, and being able to work at both positions in the offseason and not have to be switched in every other week. I feel like everyone's going to have a little bit of time to get their feet under them and really just, kind of be ready for what's to come.
I 100% agree with that, because if you take those reps away from the guys that Goody was just talking about, right? We have a young crop of talent that we really want to see have a shot at maybe, making that step or finding a role, solidifying a role in this defense. If you bring in some vet now, or you bring in some proven guy now, he's going to be your starter, right? He's going to at least, or at the very least, make your final 53. And what does that tell, your young draft picks or your young prospects, before camp even gets started? So I'm with you, Emilio. I think the move should be made maybe not necessarily into the season, but, maybe as we're winding down camp, if right. Guys haven't stepped up and they haven't, really, made a case for themselves, and we feel like we need to look elsewhere, that's the time to make a move, because other teams are going to be making moves too. There's going to be names floating around out there. And I think, to Goody's credit, we can look back. Hindsight is 20/20, right? Nate Hobbs was signed to this team because we thought that there was a chance that Jair probably wouldn't be a Packer. And you bring a guy like Nate Hobbs in to shore up that DB room a little bit more. So if you lose 23, which we did, now we're not in panic mode. We can, assess and respond and give guys opportunities. And hey, if they don't step up, then we still have maneuverability. We freed up cap room. There's all the possibility in the world that we could add another, medium to top tier corner to this defense when it's all said and done. And awesome. I think that's a testament to Goody's game plan for sure.
Perfect point, Tim, because if that's the case and you're over here scrambling to try to get a corner before the season starts, you're working through the offseason. I mean, you're paying high dollar for a commodity that probably doesn't deserve that high dollar. You're
overpaying for good, right?
Right. Yeah. You're in a seller's market at that point, and that's not where Goody and the Packers ever really want to be. That's just not their MO.
Yeah. Soder in the chat says, is there a cornerback that you would like to make a run at? At this point, you would be overpaying for a guy that is at best 4 on the current team. I think you hit the nail on the head there. Soder, you answered the question yourself, man. That whoever you sign, you're taking snaps away from some of these younger guys. And you guys know we talked last night pretty extensively, and we have talked a lot about Carrington Valentine. I'm not saying Carrington is a number 1 corner. What I'm saying, though, is he's got the potential to be a number 1 corner. And right now, he is a damn good number 2 corner. Now, what's a number 2 corner? That means you're somewhere in the top 64 in the entire league in terms of how well you play. Some would say he's in the top 32 right now. When I hear true number 1, I think of it in a sense of a true number 1 wide receiver as well. A true number 1 wide receiver warrants bracket coverage. It draws attention away from the rest of the offense. A true number 1 corner could go up and match up week in and week out with the number 1 receiver. I heard somebody say earlier today that, man, Ja really shut down the number 1 receivers last year. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't watch that Philly game week 1. What the hell are we even talking about? It doesn't mean he was a horrible football player, but to sit here and pretend like he shut down everybody he faced, it wasn't that cut and dry for sure. Now, back to Carrington Valentine. We talked about this last night, and lo and behold, I get on Twitter today. You see it was June 10th, 11:24 a.m. that this was putting out. Doug Farrar, if you guys don't know who that is, he did a podcast last year, a couple years in a row, with the civilian GOAT, Greg Cosell. This dude is a tape junkie. I didn't tag him and say, hey, what do you think about this? This is a dude just watching tape, and I guarantee you when Jair got released, he immediately went and said, let's look at some of their corners. Carrington had pretty good numbers. He pulls up the tape, finds 4 clips right off the bat, and here's what his tweet said. Whether playing press, overhang or in the slot, Carrington Valentine of the Packers has become a veteran-level pass defender. Not sure how they stole him in the 7th round of the 2023 draft, but that's some larceny there. So he's saying pretty much what I say. That's a great number 2 corner, probably working himself right into that number 1 role if he continues to get better every year. So again, you guys can go watch it yourself. There's 4 clips there of him getting the interception there. Both interceptions they show too. It was either man coverage or zone match, and he literally eyes on the quarterback playing that fisheye tech, and he's back on the ball picking it off when it wasn't even his responsibility. Essentially covering 2 guys is what he was doing, and that's all about instincts is what that is. So I'm excited about Carrington Valentine. Now we'll know this year, in my opinion, because rookie year sucked. Last year took a huge step forward. He may return back to rookie form, and we go, not the dude. But if he takes a step forward, I mean, I'm not going to be surprised at all, man.
If I'm a betting man, which I am from time to time, I would bet that CV does take that step, and I don't think he's going to revert backwards. I think the fact that Ja being out of the picture now, a guy that was kind of a mentor to CV these last couple of years, with him, that void being there, a guy like Carrington Valentine, he sees it all in front of him right now. He knows the opportunity that he has. And I think if you're going to put your eyes on anybody on this defense, especially in the secondary at training camp, number 1 should be CV, because this is the guy who's got every opportunity in the world to lock down that opposite starting corner spot in this defense and really, like you said, Clay, take that step. It's kind of sink or swim time because it's right there in front of him, and he's shown the potential. We've seen the flashes. And if he makes that step, man, I'm feeling really good about this defense. I really am. I mean, we got a taste of it last year, to all the fans that are upset about the Jair release, and what are we going to do without him? It's like, I don't know, go back to 2023 and 2024 and watch game tape and see what this defense looked like without him.
Right, because there was plenty of that tape, wasn't there, Tim?
Yeah, plenty of that tape. So we've had guys that have stepped up and shown flashes, and now we're going to get to see it consistently. For all intents and purposes, it's CV's spot to earn or lose. You're either going to play your way into that role or you're going to play your way out of it.
Yeah, and it's not like you're bringing in a rookie. Like the dude has played, and he started 12 games of his first year. I mean, it's not like he hasn't had a significant amount of game reps and game time with the old defensive coordinator and now a new DC. So I think you have to get him those reps because he's proved it. Like Tim was saying, it's kind of his to lose. I mean, he's got first dibs on it. I feel like there's nobody else that's going to get a jump on him. I think that him, Hobbs, and Nixon will probably be those first 3, and rotate that bundle around pretty much. But again, who out of those guys are all going to be there at the end? At least Carrington's been consistent on his ability to be there and availability and everything. But at some point, you might lose one of those guys. So you're going to have somebody be ready to step up. But I don't think it's going down and chasing after some, 4th guy down on the depth chart. I think Coach was talking about it. If anything, I'd be looking for a trade for a corner if we really needed to chase that down.
Yep.
And I love doing this on Twitter, and it pisses people off because they jump right in and take the bait. And then when I reveal who the 2 players are, they're like, oh, that's crap. Like, if I were to tell you, all right, let's just run through some statistics real quick. 2 corners, which one would you rather have on your team? A guy who played 516 snaps or 347? If that's the only information you had to go off of, you're going to go off the 516, right? That's the guy I want. And if you were to say, okay, touchdowns allowed, the guy who had 516 snaps didn't allow any touchdowns. The guys who allowed 340 or had 347 snaps allowed 2 touchdowns. Which one are you going with? You're going with the one with no touchdowns. And then one had a passer rating allowed of 69.0, and the other one had 77.6. Like when you look at it across the board statistically, and I know this is going to make people mad because the PFF grade suggests Ja was significantly better than Carrington Valentine. The numbers show Carrington Valentine was a better corner than Jair last year, and he was more available. That doesn't mean Carrington's a better football player. That simply means he outplayed Jair Alexander last year. And immediately people will go to, well, Jair covers the number 1 receiver. No, he doesn't. If you can match that up, yeah, cool. But he is not. This isn't bullseye defense. He's not following the number one all over the field every snap. They'll try to pick their spots and do that. Yeah, absolutely. But it's just, yeah. Again, I'm trying to curb the enthusiasm on Carrington, but I challenge people to go back to 2023 and listen to me give my take on Carrington. You guys remember it. How many times y'all got tired of hearing me say, listen, I'm a Kentucky fan. I love Kentucky Wildcats. Carrington's playing like hot garbage. This dude is not panning out. Last year, he made me eat my words, man. And I'm so excited that he did. So Greg Rice went on to say here, if I get this off the screen, I still can't believe we did not sign him to a possible high-value incentive-based contract. Maybe we tried and he said no, question mark. Greg, it's a great question. I was trying to find the soundbite earlier. Wildy talking about it when they met with Goody earlier today. This is the way, and I'm just kind of they were trying to read between the lines and saying, I think this is what happened. It sounded like Jair Alexander's camp was not having it at all. Like Goody made a comment kind of in passing, like it wasn't on the table. Like we didn't get to that point. They made an offer and Jair and them didn't even counter offer. It was just like, nope, we're playing under the contract we got and that's it. So
big shout out to Rock Nation. You know, that's his representation, right? You know, they're going to stand on business. They feel like their client is, you know, worth what he's worth. And
hey,
what it
more
is.
power to him, right, Tim? Like
that's more power to him. Exactly.
Well, so what do you think he gets, though? You know what I mean?
I still think I'm with Clayton. I caught up on the pod a little bit today from the time I missed, and I'm with Clayton. There is that small outside chance that, you know, if you look at free agent corners right now, you know, I'm on Spot Track now just looking. Ja's at the top of the list, but look at that fat contract number next to his name. He might not be super enticing. And, you know, maybe the Packers aren't the only team that couldn't get a deal done with him. And maybe the grass isn't greener. There's a small chance that, hey, maybe he ultimately does end up signing back with us at a reduced contract, right? Incentive-based contract.
Right. Yeah, I think Brian was mentioning that today was just that, like, I mean, I think Clay hit it too. You know, the Bills tried to get with him, didn't like the contract. You got a couple other teams that had talked about it. You tried to work him through in the draft. That didn't work. So, I mean, he's not getting over 20, right? Is he getting over 10? I mean, is he getting over 15? I would say probably not. I mean, I'm thinking over 10, but that's still kind of steep. I feel like teams are going to kind of be hesitant on that.
I feel like maybe the Rams, if anyone might overpay.
Yeah, they need it.
Yeah, they need it. And you know, that would be the first team that would come to mind would be maybe the Rams might overpay a little for him. And I could totally see Jair in LA, like match made in heaven, right?
And Spot Track is not taking the bait. They're not touching it. They have no market value listed for him at all. They're like, nope, we ain't putting that in that. So
hands off.
Yeah.
Just previous average annual, right? That's all they got. Yeah.
21 million. Yeah. And now listen, they're showing, if we just go corners here, let me do this real quick, try to give you guys an idea of some of the corners that are on the market here, supposedly. Jair Alexander, James Bradbury, Kendall Fuller, none of them have a number. Now, previous average annual value significantly lower. Bradbury was at 12.6, Kendall Fuller at 7.5. Rasul Douglas's previous was $7 million. They got his market value at 11.9. Rasul Douglas is not getting 11.9 million from anybody. He's about to turn 31 years old. That just ain't happening. Stephon Gilmore is listed at 5.3. I honestly, man, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up getting 4 or 5 million. And that's what surprised me, that he wasn't even willing to come to the negotiating table with the Packers.
Right.
Because he's got to know that. They had to have looked into the money. Now, he may sign.
I think he thinks he's worth 7, bare minimum. I think he's looking for north of 7 would be my number.
And that's the thing. Like, if he truly thinks that, right? Let's say if he thinks, hey, I should get $7 million. And we know it's not going to be fully guaranteed. If the Packers had come to him and let's say they came and said, hey, look, instead of the $17 million that you're due that we could save potentially, right? What if we, let's adjust it down to where we give you some guaranteed money, but let's turn this into, or less guaranteed money. And if you're healthy, you get the full contract. Like, hey, if you get hurt and you're out for the year, let's say they told him 8 million, right? 9 million. And then we save an extra 8 million if you're out for the rest of the year. And he said, no. It sounds, I don't want to say ego. It sounds more like a pride thing. Like, I don't want to be here anymore. You guys already disrespected me. And you guys remember the local media caught absolute hell for this when they reported that in the locker room during locker cleanout, Jair said, y'all don't want to talk to me. I'm not even going to be here next year. I ain't got nothing good to say. And he stormed out. Right. So what
it sounds like maybe this whole decision was already made.
Exit interview. I think that Goody told Jai, hey, look, we got to do something with this contract, man. You have taken a lot of money the last couple of years, and you've not been available. So we got to do something about it. And that pissed him off. And from day one, and again, go back to Rob Demovsky's reporting, he's not going to be back, right? That's what he said. Jai's camp feeding him information and probably talked to the Packers too. The Packers said, think of Demovsky's angle here.
Yep.
He goes to the team, and the team says, yeah, we got to do something with the contract, or somebody within the team says that. And then he goes to Jai's camp, and they go, no.
We ain't moving. Yep.
We ain't adjusting nothing. That's why he said 99.5% chance he's gone.
There are a very large amount of fans in the fan base that owe Rob Demovsky a gigantic apology.
It'll never happen.
It'll never happen, but let's just put it out there. It's due. I don't know if he'll ever cash that check, but it's a check that should be written for sure.
Yeah. White 009 in the chat, or it might be Wit. I apologize if I got that wrong. So love how you guys explained Goot's mindset. Some folks on Milwaukee radio had me believe that he doesn't want a Super Bowl. Love job, but he's always unavailable. I seen that running across social media, and I don't go in the comments or anything. I'll be honest with you, man. I turned on a couple of shows, and I just had to turn it right back off. I'm like, man, these people are like, it's just everything that happens with the Packers. That's a wrong move. That's a wrong move. That's negative. We look up at the youngest roster in the league. We win 11 games, and there's crickets. It's the same.
If anyone at 1265 believed that Goot didn't want to win a Super Bowl, Goot would be unemployed right now.
Right.
And again, it's just so easy to look at the salary cap and go, yeah, you got 40-some million. They're not serious about competing. Well, I'd love to see y'all's checkbook. I would love to see what that looks like. Well, I bet y'all balance the hell out of that account. Like, it's all about projecting years in advance. And listen, everybody's welcome to their opinion, but I have a hard time when people are so dug in on an opinion, and it's like, you can plain as day see, man, that's not very responsible. That's not, I can't get on board with that. And they immediately turn their attention to, this guy sucks. He's bad at football. This general manager doesn't want to win a Super Bowl. All of these just extremely hot takes. And it's like, I know how this game's played. Yep. Like, we've watched First Take for the last however many decades, right? This is shock jock radio, whatever you want to call it, right? It's like, let's throw something out there outrageous because people like us talk about it, right? That's essentially what happens. But that's just like the whole Lucas Van Ness. I turned on one the other day. If AFAM's in the chat, he knows exactly what I'm talking about.
He's not here. He's listening to a Chiefs podcast right now.
I seen him in the chat for that one. Is the reason I know that. I was like, we look at AFAM in here trolling. So I turned it on right before work one morning. I was like, let's get a little Packers talk. And I had to turn it off. You guys seen that meme of that guy taking the earbuds out, like throwing them down the side? That was me. But again, he gets blocked by tight ends. They found one damn clip of him engaging with the tight end and strafing across the line and kind of protecting a zone or whatever you want to call it, a gap. And they're like, look, this guy can't even beat a tight end.
Hey, you know who else gets blocked by tight ends? Every single other edge rusher in the National Football League. It's going to happen.
And then they tried to paint a picture of how the defense or offensive coordinators and offensive line coach don't respect him enough to put anything more than a tight end on him. One clip. And that's what they came away with. In the meantime, he's getting 11% pressure rate, higher than TJ Watt and Max Crosby.
Right.
And nobody's talking about
that. It's pronounced Max Crosby.
Clay, was that something that they're showing? I mean, I don't know, man. That's just, I can't see it. Goot wants to win. I just don't see it.
You think God never farted?
Respect oranges. Oh, I just seen the comment. I ain't gonna put it up there out of respect for people who are less fortunate. Okay.
No, that is hilarious.
That is probably what AFAM's doing right now. So anyway, Watt, I appreciate the kind words, and that's why I don't name people. Say name drop them. I don't want to name drop people. I ain't trying to tear people down like that. I'm saying strictly from a fan standpoint, it's embarrassing to turn that on. And then you got, players, family members on Twitter responding to stuff like that. And it's like, what are we doing? Like, why do we have to be a fan base?
Why are we fanning like it's 1984? It's 2025. The game has evolved. The game is played differently. Things are a little bit different. You have to evolve as a fan with the game, right? Otherwise you're left behind, man. You're like Uncle Rico, right? Talking about the good old days.
And was that clip when he had a broken thumb, or was it not? Are we not talking about that?
Look, I'm glad you bring that up, Emilio. I'm going to let you have your point back. They mentioned that this is back during the season, right? Or toward the end of the season. They said this was when they were just harping on Rashawn Gary being absolutely horrible. Then he makes the Pro Bowl, and they're like, "Oh my God, that doesn't mean anything."
That didn't work.
Yeah. So they said that Lucas Van Ness had to switch sides. He had to switch sides, right, because of the thumb. Mm-hmm. And Gary still can't beat the weaker tackle. And I'm like, what's the weaker tackle? You're saying the left tackle is weaker than the right tackle? What team are you talking about? Like as if it doesn't change week in and week out, the matchup. Right. And it's like immediate at that point, they were all on their high horse just trying to bash the hell out of Rashawn Gary. In the meantime, he leads the team in sacks. He leads the team in quarterback pressures. He leads the defensive line in run stops, and he makes the Pro Bowl. And I'm not saying the Pro Bowl is everything, but like you understand how stupid you sound right now, right? Like this is, I don't get it.
With what, 56% of the snaps it was? So, yeah. I mean.
What do we even do? It was less than that. It was less than that. So it was like in the 40 percentile because we talked about how if he'd gotten the same amount of snaps as TJ or as Max Crosby, he would have had
LVN.
Yeah, LVN.
Yeah. He was like I want to say he was like 39 or something like that. But yeah.
So you were talking about Rashawn Gary.
Yeah.
The point Emilio's making is if he had that same 98% snap rate that Max Crosby had, Rashawn Gary would have finished probably with 12 or 13 sacks. That's what he was on pace for.
Yep.
So again, you blame the coaches, right? But Emilio, you did a great job breaking that down the other day that, okay, yeah, they get a lower snap count, but Max Crosby was banged up because they worked him to death, and TJ Watt was injured because they worked him to death.
And that was my question that was my question that I had to the group when we were talking about it, is like, how much is that hockey line of us prepping to pre-plan to be able to make sure these guys can make it to the playoffs? Right. Like, how are we going to run them into the ground weeks 1 through 8 just so that we have an 8-0 record, or we try to get an 8-0 record just so that in 2 months we're going to need them again. So why run them into the ground now?
Playoffs.
Bates says, I know this doesn't matter, but CV has a great personality, funny as hell, reminds me of Jamal Williams. It does matter, Bates. It does matter, man. That stuff, that can really pull a team together.
Yep.
When you're in the heat of the battle, go back and I know you've seen this, Bates. You're an old head like me. You can go back and find the Joe Montana clip of them in the Super Bowl, and they're about to go down for like the game-winning drive or whatever, and they're in the huddle, and Joe Montana looks up in the stands and says, "Is that Joe? Is that what was it?
John Candy.
John Candy. Is that John Candy?" And they were like, "What?" And he went, "That's John Candy." And the rest of the team, imagine the huddle, they all go, "Oh yeah, it is John Candy." Like, and they immediately go back, and his teammates were like, "The game on the line, Super Bowl on the line." And this dude was that's why they called him Joe Cool.
Ice in his veins.
Yeah. For 5 to 10 seconds, they got away from that. He distracted them, and then we went right back to focus, right? Yep. Enough to get you out of the jitters or the nerves. I love it.
And that's something that Jair Alexander did really well while he was here. Now, the last couple of years kind of got in his own thing, right? Worried about he wasn't voted captain, and then 2 years later, whatever it was, the next year, he makes himself a captain, and next thing you know, he gets suspended, and then he remember that time that he told the media, he said, "I'm going to stop talking to you guys because y'all always get me in trouble," and it was just like always something. He kind of lost that, He did. He lost that.
I like this point by Bates because you bringing this up reminded me of this. We think we might lose a little bit of that swag or that chippiness on that defensive side of the ball. But I disagree because like Bates is saying, CV is cut from that cloth. He will talk the talk and walk the walk. We've got Keyshawn Nixon. Keyshawn Nixon is no stranger to talking a little trash and going out there and banging heads. We've got X on the back end, Xavier McKinney, another guy, very vocal leader. There's plenty of that personality in that secondary room, even without Jair. I think to your point, Clayton, if anything, it's a little bit healthier and maybe a little less misguided. Like you said, I think me being the president of the Jair fan club, I'm still kind of digesting this whole Ja's not a Packer anymore. But hey, nothing that we've said here is not true. I don't think,
right.
It's not unfounded speculation.
Mhm.
And maybe it was just time. Maybe last year was time to move on and we didn't. So, here we are. I feel good about Carrington Valentine. I really do. I'm not going to say this secondary is not going to miss a beat or they're not going to have to account for the void that is there now. But I do think they're equipped to make that step. I do think they're equipped to fill that void. And I think Carrington Valentine, guys like Keyshawn Nixon, Nate Hobbs, they're the perfect dudes to have in the fold. And then you've got that young crop of talent behind them coming up. So, I wish Ja the best, but at the end of the day, we're Packer fans first and foremost. And, we want what's best for the team. And I think this ultimately will prove to be best for the team moving forward.
Yeah. And speaking of best for the team here, this is pretty cool. Bo Melton working out as a cornerback earlier today. Rob Demoski tweeted out, Melton took reps on both sides of the ball during the first 11-on-11 period of minicamp. Yes, that's receiver Bo Melton playing cornerback. He's still wearing the white offensive jersey. So, again, when I seen this, I kind of initially reacted in my own mind. I didn't tweet it out or anything, but I was like, oh, boy, this is kind of the last chance to make the roster probably. And then it seemed like I'm in the extreme minority there, that most people were like, no. I didn't ask anybody, but just reading other people's tweets is like, man, this is going to be extra value. And then again, when a former player talks, I shut the hell up. I'm like, okay, they've made it to that level, right? Tauscher said, we had this saying, man, even on the offensive line, the more you can do, Emilio, the better chance you got of making this roster. So I had to take an L on that one and go, I think I'm probably looking at this the wrong way. So
Right.
Imagine if you got Bo Melton, good special teams player, right? And you got a guy that can play corner in a pinch, but also play receiver. Oh, by the way, he's got a faster 40 than Christian Watson. I get it now. I had to get up and listen to everybody earlier, Emilio.
Right. Well, Tuck was saying that in his interview is, because he said that he saw like a flash of light blow by him when he caught a pass and he was turning upfield and he took a double take. He said, is that Bo? But it's just, if anything you can do to get on the field, it's one of those where like, coach, put me in a nose guard if I can get on the field, right? Like all I want to do is play. So if you have the ability to be flexible and have, multiple skills, it's just like we're rotating our alignment. It's just like we train everybody to be, multi-positional, because you never know. And the fact that he does have those kind of skills on kick cover and stuff like that, he's not afraid to sprint down there and just, rock somebody. He runs with, speed and abandonment. It's not like he's going to be in there all the time, but it's always good to have a backup. It's always good to have an option if you need to put him in, in certain situations. Obviously, he's not going to beat Travis Hunter, but his brother plays corner for the Cardinals. It's like we wanted to bring his brother in as a corner, so it's not like it's completely out of his hands. You don't think he ever tried to cover his brother, so it's not like the dude's never done it before, right? So I'd be fine with getting a couple reps, and that's something to keep you on the team. If you make your name on special teams and you can perform there, you'll get reps on offense. You could potentially now get reps on defense.
Yep.
Great point, Emilio. It's not unprecedented in professional football, even college football, even high school football, for a guy that plays receiver to maybe convert to a corner, or a guy that played a lot of corner. Maybe he goes to the next level. He's not very effective as a corner. Maybe he transitions to a receiver, maybe a slot receiver, return guy, whatever. So what we're seeing with Bo here is not like Clayton always talks about. This is so true. Look at the precedence. Is there precedence for this? There is. So this is not that out of the realm of possibility. And nobody's saying Bo Melton's cornerback number one. We're not going out here saying this guy's going to play.
This isn't Travis Hunter, right?
Yeah, right. But I think it's good proof that, maybe Travis Hunter isn't the only guy that's going to play both sides of the ball in the NFL in 2025. we might get to see. I would anticipate if we see Bo at corner, it might be as often as we see Travis Hunter at receiver. In the NFL, pepper it in here and there, but at the end of the day, you're going to put your best foot forward. Clearly, Bo as a returner or special teams guy and a receiver might be, his number one best foot forward. But hey, if he can play, 5 to 10 snaps here and there as a corner for us and do it well and not be a liability, that gives us depth, especially when you're cutting down to your final 53 and, roster spots are at a premium. You got a guy that can play here, there, and everywhere. I mean, that's a valuable asset to have.
Yeah. All right, we're out of time. We're going to go rapid fire here real quick with the rest of the defensive stuff we wanted to hit. Jason B. Hirschhorn, I hope I'm saying that right. Packers head coach Matt LaFleur on cornerback Kalen King's injury. Quote, "It's nothing long-term. He'll be back for training camp." LaFleur says King is doing, quote, "much better physically than he was a year ago." So that's a great sign there. So nothing to worry about there with that injury, it sounds like. And then, of course, we had a signing today. I don't know if you guys caught on to this or not, but this is Packers signed defensive lineman Cameron Young, entered the NFL as a fourth-round pick number 123 overall to the Seahawks in 2023, played in 17 career games, but just one of them came last season. So he's probably on my board from last year, right? I don't imagine. Let's see here. Wait, no, this is 25, 24, 23. I don't have the board. Never mind. But we do have a PFF grade. If you're wondering, hey, man, can this guy play ball? I'm going to go ahead and warn you. It doesn't look good, all right? It might be a cat body. Cam Young, 6'3", 304, all right? Ran a 5.140. Like I said, they got him at 124. The other thing said 123. His 2023 PFF grade, a 58.8. And then last year, he only played 2 snaps, grading out as a 44. So, what this says to me, guys, is –
yeah, body.
Yeah, it's a camp body, and it also says that Goody probably had a significantly high grade on him, like he probably had him as a third-round pick and said, hey, this is worth it, minimum contract, no guaranteed money. You can move on if it don't work out type thing.
Just like, didn't we get Jaron Reed from the Seahawks? So we'll just keep rotating in their old D linemen and see what works.
Because you never know, you might hit on one of these guys, right?
Oh, yeah.
Might very well step up and be a valuable piece, even if it's a 1 or 2 year rental or something. I mean,
how do we normally do in the 4th round, Tim? I know we didn't pick him, but if you got an eye for him.
That's so true.
All right, that's it. Anything else you guys want to hit before we wrap up? We were going to hit the Patreon questions, but I'll do it tomorrow, guys. We just ran out of time there, and I wanted to make sure we took enough time to actually answer them and talk. So anybody who hasn't got your Patreon questions in, we're going to do that tomorrow. If you want to join our Patreon community, it's the best way to support what we do here at Packers Total Access. Patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. Scan the QR code in the upper right, or just go to that website. Member of the $3 tier is all you got to be to get access to everything. If you want to be generous and give to the 5 or the 10, that's totally cool. But the 3 gets you access to everything. Saturday, anyone who's a member of the $3 tier, we're going to be doing a giveaway. We're going to put everybody's name on the wheel, spin it, and give away an awesome autographed Romeo Dobbs card here that was donated by our friend Rick Kruger. So sorry to cut you off, but anything else, fellas?
No, that's it. Love your job. Best wishes, brother.
Yeah. Again, man, it was, great memories. Amelia, that pick 6 last year in Tennessee, baby. You were up at the bathroom, wasn't you? Did you go get a drink?
I watched the whole thing. I was just sitting there. I was like, wow. And then the whole stadium just erupted. I was like, hey, I'll take it, man. I was just having a good time. I was trying to get you a refill, the Jack and Slushy.
Yeah, it was rum. It was Captain Morgan. That was. If you guys, you want a good laugh, go back through our channel and find the Tennessee Titans post-game show, okay, that we did on the show or on the channel. And then find the very next live stream, which will be the next morning. And you'll hear what Clayton sounds like after he's had about 3 different cherry slushies with Captain Morgan rum. It was bad. And it was it was 92 degrees.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I drank like 3 or 4 of those and a couple other daddy sodas, and I didn't use the restroom one time during that game. That's how hot it was.
And the sombrero just attracts heat too, right? It's just a foam cooker is what it is.
It was bad. And then we got to meet Dontavion Wicks' family, right? Yep. We met his mom. Jordan, Emilio's fiance, actually bummed some sunscreen lotion off of him.
Absolutely, yeah.
She was drenched in I said, did you use all their lotion? It was awesome. What a trip, man. What a trip. So, Yeah, we'll do that again soon here, real soon. So
Absolutely.
all right, that's it, gang. Appreciate everybody. If you would hit that like on the way out, feel free to sub to the channel if you're new here. The chat was on fire tonight. This was just absolutely lit. Want to give a special shout out to Bates for the super chat. Also, thank you all for pulling that up. We got an awesome giveaway for a great cause coming up here for the rest of the month of June. You have an opportunity. Go to my Twitter account. At Packers_access, pinned at the top of the page, you will see a link here, givebutter.com/KRPSJ5. We are giving away an autographed Dorsey Levens jersey, okay? Anyone who donates to that link right there, for every $5 you donate, you're going to be entered into the contest one time, and we'll put those names on a wheel, spin it, and give away that autographed jersey. Again, that is for a good cause, raising some money for My Autism Connection, building hope, community, and independence for autistic adults. Again, really excited to partner up with them and just show them some love like they've shown us some love. And it's, again, I'll just say this and we'll wrap up. If you're not where you want to be in life, turn your eyes on other people. I'm telling you from past experience, I was in the dumps. My life was a wreck. And I'm not going to get preachy, but I read a book one day, got into the book a little bit and realized, you know what, let's try this the other way. Let me stop worrying about what's not going right in my life. And let me just try to, it don't matter what it is, whatever you can do to help people. And this is, you don't have to donate to this. Find something you're passionate about. Just go out and make a difference. If you got money, donate money. If you ain't got money, you got time because you're probably sitting at the house. Donate a little time, right? I'm telling you, man, it's amazing, amazing how your life will turn around. It's just like you start to attract to you people that actually care about other people, and all of a sudden the negative people just disappear from your life. It's amazing how it works. So, there's my sermon for the night, all right?
Get ready to go.
So let's get out of here. Appreciate everybody. We will be back tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Central Time for PTA Live. Hopefully we'll have some more mini camp updates. Everybody, like I said in the chat, thank y'all so much. Y'all are awesome tonight.